let's go ahead and go to rifle, which nothing really changed in rifle. You still have your snare on agonizing wounds. You still have bullseye, which was increased, kind of like how every other charge shot was increased a little bit, so they were a little more effective. Compared to the last patch, if you shoot while using it, it'll dispel, regardless if you hit or miss. So you want to make sure you land that hit. And then, well, I guess they didn't make sure that they had icons here, but to say the very least, you now have a new stance, which is actually my primary stance, which increases my rifle skill, which pistol and melee also got it, but it's pretty much just a fact of now every weapon has their own little stance they can benefit from, so it's easier to use endgame weapons without spending a whole lot of AP. But outside of that, everything is pretty much the same on rifle. It is still technically the weakest weapon line in the game in terms of DPS. Shotguns are still able to be vastly out-healed by every other damage type in the, well, not damage type, every other weapon in comparison. You can actually stand still and out-heal a shotgun user unless they're full offense and probably hitting you in the head. Because if they don't hit you in the head, you can probably stand there and just ignore them. Snipers, pretty much the same deal, but at least they have a little higher DPS, so they're actually a lot harder if somebody decides to do that instead. Like if you start standing still, they pull out a sniper, you probably want to start moving, because they break that threshold of healing per second. And, well, assault rifles and battle rifles aren't in a good spot right now. They're good, but they're not worth it compared to pistols. But yeah, the rifle skill line, you get a new stance, so now you can have an easier time equipping your rifles due to the rifle skill modifier. Bullseye has a little higher damage, but you must hit when you use this ability now, because it'll give you a temporary buff. If you miss, you lose the buff. If you hit, you lose the buff. But as long as you hit, you'll gain the benefit, and whenever you actually use it, since it's a buff, you can now get headshots, but at the same time, if you hit their arm or their leg, you take limb damage reduction. So just be careful of that. I'll probably make a separate video specifically for charge shots. And then agonizing wound, well, you don't have to worry about, you know, shooting and missing. It'll stay on there. It's still an original charge shot where it won't dispel right away, but that's not a whole big deal. It's the charge shots that probably needed the nerf previously, since they were extremely strong before. But that's everything on rifle.